All right, what's going on, guys? Simple Sports back with my second recording in a row, if you can believe that. And the reason for this recording, I'm going to make a couple of statements that possibly could ruffle some feathers, could probably go completely unnoticed. I don't know. Who knows with today's age? But I will say this. If you are going to listen, I would really, really like for you to share this video because I think what I'm about to say, I'd like to say to a lot of people, and obviously I don't have that here. So if you do come across this video, please share it. Even if you don't listen, just put knowledge out on the streets. Somebody will pick it up. So here's what I want to talk about. So anyone that's listened to any of my previous videos, at some point I've said, I sort of quote unquote do my homework when I leave work. I come home, watch, all of the sports talk shows and YouTube videos and Instagram and Twitter and do all that stuff, read a couple articles. And I get to do some of this at work as well. Throughout the day, I'll jump on a couple of sites and just kind of see what's up, if anything is transpired. And I mean, if I get any emergencies, or breaking news, I guess I should say, I get notified on my phone anyway, just like I'm sure most people do. So whatever, I'm rambling at this point. Bottom line is, I was listening to Shannon Sharpe today talk about the Colin Kaepernick and Jim Brown situation, and he said something that that sparked my mind to think about a totally different topic, and that's what I want to talk about here. So Shannon Sharpe was commenting on what Jim Brown had to say about Colin Kaepernick, and he mentioned Martin Luther King, and essentially what he said was all Martin Luther King wanted was for blacks to have the same opportunity that was granted to others that is written on paper. And that's exactly what he was talking about. And so when he said that, it made me think about, well, you know what? He's right, but there's a conversation that needs to be had when he says that, and it's the fact that a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people, I mean a lot of black people, have been afforded opportunities that a lot of us don't get. And of course, that's relative to the situation, regardless, even whether you're on the fence or if you think black people are not being oppressed or if you think they are being oppressed. No matter where you stand in that conversation, the bottom line is, even relative to that, even given that, you still have a lot of folks who have been afforded a lot of opportunities given their confines, that a lot of us haven't. And that's, now I personally, I'm grateful for my life and how it's going. Obviously, everyone wants to do better, and I certainly strive to do better, which is part of the reason why I do this. But I was given, now that I've grown up and matured and looking back on things, I know and fully realize I was given a very, very good opportunity, and thus far have taken advantage of it. But a lot of people haven't. And I know a lot of people that haven't, like, spent time with these people. And looking back now, I'm like, man, like, you were given an opportunity. Like, I look at our lives back then and I say, you were given a chance and you chose to do other things. You chose to procrastinate and not work hard and be lackadaisical and stay up late, play an extra game of Madden, or go out to the club instead of doing your homework or studying before your final or whatever. I mean, or you can get real serious, right? Instead of joining that gang, you could have went and got a job. And getting into the gang thing, like, I know obviously that, like, trust me, I get it. And I realize how lucky I am, because you see, you read about and you watch these inner cities, and I got a glimpse of it. I have a couple cousins, aunts and uncles that live up north. And so I got to travel up north quite a bit, and being from where I'm from, like, the north is a big deal. Like, me standing and watching a 10-story building is is crazy. And when I went and saw the World Trade Center, like, I was blown away. So you don't realize how different the world is until you really grow up and get out into the world, and then, see how different your small surrounding is compared to someone who may only be 200 miles away and is going through hell. And they had no choice because they were brought in, like, they were born in that. So I realized that I've been given a very, very, very good opportunity, and I realize there's people out there that haven't been. Same thing with food and parents. Like, there's kids that are starving in our own country. There's people in our own country who don't have a lot of food. And I've been there before, a couple of times. I remember when my parents were struggling, and I didn't get it at that time. To me, all it meant was I couldn't get any more honey buns. That's all it meant to me. I was like, all right, well, whatever. That was the first time. And then as I got older and got into college, money is scarce. It is hard to come by. Let me tell you. There were plenty of nights I had to scrape up change just to go get a bag of chips. So I get it, man. I get it too. And trust me, that's compared to that stuff. What I went through compared to what some of these people are going to, I mean, I had zero to complain about. And I didn't, even on top of that. Yeah, I might not have been able to eat that night, but I'm going to college to get an education, to go get a job. So I still have a leg up, regardless if my stomach's rumbling that night. Still got a leg up. And some people don't get that. So I get it. But what I was going to say, and I went into that tangent, and this is totally off the cuff, so I have no idea where it's really going to go. But I do want to get to my main point. And so going back to what Shannon Sharp was talking about with MLK, basically what he was saying was, we just want to be given the same opportunity that others are given. That's written on paper, that should be guaranteed to us. That's just all we want. And so what that led me to think was about the opportunities that people have been given, and I just want to offer words of encouragement. Like, what a lot of people have to realize, and it's hard at a young age, and trust me, I'm just like all the rest of you people, and I still have a long ways to go, obviously, but I look back and I think, of course, when I was your age, I thought I knew everything and all this other stuff. And obviously, you would think that would come from a really old person, but here I am, 27 years old, and even now I get it. And I know, again, I have a long ways to go, but so far, I get it. And so I just want people to understand that you have been given more of an opportunity than you think. You don't, if you really, really, really look at your life, and it's hard, trust me, like, I get it, it's hard, especially in the moment. It's really hard in the moment. And even right now, I'm looking at my life, and it's like, there's so many things going wrong all at the same time. And then I look at the grand scheme of things and I realize how minuscule and how small those things really, really are. And a lot of people need to do the same thing. Like you have to, at some point, sorry, I had to pause the recording. So I kind of forgot where I was. But the bottom line is, I think I remember where I was. The bottom line is you just have to, people really need to start really waking up and really looking at themselves and taking responsibility for themselves. And that, by the way, this is for black people, but part of this is for everyone. And this part is kind of for everyone. Like, stop making so many excuses. Okay, now everyone understand that things happen. Like, things happen. I work in a restaurant, and there's very few times where I make a mistake on my behalf, especially when it comes to the kitchen, right? You know, occasionally I'll overlook a refill or, you know, something like that. But that's stuff I just miss in the moment. But I point being, I pay very, very close attention to detail. Like, and sometimes we need to stop making excuses. Everyone's got something going on. You're not alone in that. Everyone has something going on. You have to, at some point, you have got to take control. You got to take control at some point. It's your job to do so because it's your life. No one else can live it for you. So, at a certain point, when you're wallowing in the mud, it's because you want to wallow in the mud. You know what I mean? Like, hey, maybe your uncle pushed you in the mud, but rather than get up and completely ruin your clothes, you decide to wallow in it. Well, that's your fault. Everyone comes across problems, emergencies, doctor bills, you cracked a tooth, your kids got no diapers. Like, everyone's got something going on, whether it's big or small. You missed the light trying to get to Starbucks. Now you're going to be late for work if you decide to go back and just get a cup of coffee, and it's the fourth time you've been late this week and you know you're going to get fired. It happens. Maybe you skip the coffee that day then and just get to work. I don't know. If you're working in a restaurant and you're not making any money and you can't get any extra tables, maybe you just really practice and rehearse. I did it, trust me. And I make great money doing it. That's you don't get out of the situation by complaining about the situation. And my grandmother, who's sick at the moment, so if you do come across this video, please pray for her. But she told me, if you can do something about it, there's no reason to complain. And if you can't do anything about it, there's still no reason to complain. You can't do anything about it. Point being, you should never be complaining. Now, I complain all the time, but usually it's work related. So I think that deserves a pass. But other than that, you don't have a reason to complain. For the most part. Some people do. And that's valid. Totally valid. 100% valid. I have a cousin who was down for our family reunion who has a child that's hard to deal with. And actually, a couple of them are hard to deal with in a couple of different ways. But at least I didn't hear her complaining. She came right on down to the family reunion. All of them, everyone has a right to say, hey, you know what, like, work, like, I've been every single year. I think I can get a pass. Like, something came up, we can't make the trip because so-and-so is doing this, or we can't keep this one quiet in the car, whatever their excuse may be. Who knows? But guess what? They came. And the entire time she was there, she was spent most of it running after the little boy who has, I don't know exactly what the condition is, so I'm not going to misspeak, but, he's rough. It's hard to keep your eye on him. He's up and gone. And yeah, so she came on down anyway, and she was just as happy as the rest of us. At least she let on that way. I don't know what she truly feels. I'm sure she's just as happy as the rest of us are to be there. But my point is, that's just the surface. Like, she was telling the stories of the help that she needs and she can't get it, and how frustrating it is. And it's like, that's a problem. And in my situation, just me to my cousin, it's like, and I don't mean this in that manner. So if she ever hears this, I don't mean it in the way that it may or may not sound, but I'm just putting that out there. But I don't really know how else to say it. But I don't have that issue. Like, I have a dog who you can probably hear now, and that's really it. I go to work, come home, I play some video games, or go out, eat, whatever. So I have an opportunity that she doesn't have. Even if she wanted to, which I know she doesn't, but even if she wanted to, what is she going to do? She can't get rid of him. She can't just, be like, go be a child somewhere. She can't do that. And my point is, I don't have that. I have an opportunity and I don't mean this I don't mean to say all this to make her sound like a bad person, because obviously she's not, like, and she's very successful. Okay. So don't get me wrong. I don't mean it in that manner. If it comes across that way, I just kind of thought about it, but no, she's very successful. But that goes more further to my point. She is going through all of that stuff and still as successful as she is, because she is not making excuses. She's just getting it done. And sometimes there's certain things that people need to be held accountable for, and I've talked about those in another video. And yes, we have a long way to go. I still feel it on a daily basis. I have people at my own restaurant tell me, I don't want you to be my server. So yeah, we got a long ways to go. So I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying I've come to a point in my life where I also am able to separate topics. Okay. So that's a separate topic from what the actual issue is. Because trust me, I'm strong about that issue as well. But yeah, I kind of got away from what I originally wanted to talk about, which I had a feeling I would, because like I said, this was pretty much off the cuff. But my overall point, if you've made it this far, is a lot of us have opportunities and are not taking advantage of them. It's that simple. Really, really look at your life and look at some of the others around you and then look further out, and you'll realize a lot of people have an opportunity. Some more than others, sure. Some better than others, absolutely. You know, I mean, I'm, don't take this the wrong way, but as a sports reference, I just go this way just because that's what this is all about. But like LeBron James' son, could you imagine? At some point, right? Just for the sake of argument, at some point, and I don't think this will ever happen. In fact, I know this will never happen. But just for the sake, just for the sake of this conversation, suppose he decided once he was extremely aware and grew up and realized what life really was about, because obviously he's not there yet, but at some point he'll get there. And I guess you never really get there, but you get closer to there. Whatever. If he decided, you know what, I realize how good I got it, I don't want to play basketball. I'm not saying he doesn't want to do something with his life, because obviously he does, but he didn't want to play basketball. He's like, you know what, there could be pressure. I got to live up to my dad's name. It's the NBA. I could get hurt. Whatever. A lot of things could happen. But point being, suppose he decided he didn't want to play basketball anymore. I mean, it's not like he needs to. That's my point. He could just, what if he just wanted, if he wanted to go out and just get a quote unquote regular job. I mean, he's set for life. So like, and LeBron gets it because he's sending, I don't know if I'm not mistaken, like 11,000 or 1,100 students to college on his dime. So he gets it. Like, some people are just not given the best opportunity, and I get that. So that's what I'm saying. The ones that have an opportunity, take advantage of it. Because whether you realize it or not, you got a lot more opportunities than you may realize. Even though it's a redundant statement. But you do. You got a lot more opportunities than you realize. I could have easily been born to a different set of parents in a completely different set of circumstances. And that's just in the country. What if someone told you right now, whoever's listening to this video, okay, take a look at yourself. Take a look at your current situation as a black man or a woman. And they said, I'm going to take you wherever you live currently. We're going to play, I hate to call this a game, but I want to make this also sort of a realistic situation as far as percentages, because obviously everyone can't do this. So take a look at where you are right now, and I'm talking city, statewide, right? So I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And they said, you know what? Right now, starting this very second, drop what you're doing. Drop the kid. If you got a baby, drop the baby right where you stand. And they're taking you back to the 1800s. Because the reality is, you could have been born during the slave times. I mean, chances are you could have been. Chances are you couldn't be born right now. You could be born in the future where, who knows, maybe it's worse. Or maybe you're born at the same time, but maybe you're born in the dead heat of Chicago. Or maybe you're born in, I don't know, Sudan 30 years ago, 20 years ago. Now, I don't know, maybe you're born in the 20s, 30s, 40s. that's just one example, right? As far as the first opportunity you got was not being born other than where you were. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on from there. Maybe your next opportunity is not being born with drug addicted parents in the 70s and 80s. Maybe your opportunity is being born with, you know, brothers and sisters who actually look after you and don't disown you. Maybe it's not getting hit by that drunk driver and that changing your life, making you realize that it could be over that quick. So I just encourage people to take advantage of their opportunities. That's all. And I mean that for everyone, but I really mean it for my people.